All right, hello everybody. We're going to be doing a brief live stream right now. I am on vacation, though my entire family is away from the hotel right now, so I did have a few minutes. This could be anywhere from 10 minutes to hopefully somewhere near 30 minutes or 45 minutes is what I'm hoping for, as far as how long I'll be able to stream for today for you guys. So we're going to try to do a medium length live stream, but again, will probably be relatively short. I have two main things I do want to discuss in this video, though. This one will actually be really good for reviewability for you people who usually watch the live streams after they're already up. So I want to get on my own live stream here so that I can, again, read the comments like I always do. So if you're new to the channel, though, I would ask that you please subscribe, as I do like to do live streams like this as well as other weather-related videos. Also, feel free to ask any weather-related comments down below as I go through those. Any weather-related questions or statements, I'm going to go through those as the stream goes on. Usually, that gets really far ahead of me, and then it feels like I'm not really answering you guys. So if it ever does feel that way, fear not. I am going to get to you guys. As my mods will probably remind you if I do. I usually do have them in my stream. So I'll grab a water real quick. Again, if you're just getting here, I did say I am on vacation, so this one might be relatively short. My family is away from the hotel right now, so I did have an opportunity to go ahead and stream for you guys because I don't know how limited these opportunities will be. So I just wanted to get some discussion notes. I had two main things I wanted to talk about. Again, they're in the title, so that's probably why you clicked on this video. Mihi, if you said I'm on mobile, I'm going to have to grab my laptop. Last time I came this fast. Yep. Hey everybody. Thanks Creations Collide said have a nice vacation. Thank you. Yeah, Michael M. I completely disrespected this hurricane completely. That's mostly what I wanted to talk about, the hurricane. The whole way through I underestimated it. I was always thinking probably about a category or two behind. When I thought it was going to be a tropical storm, really it at that time probably should have been forecast to be a category 2 or 3, and then by the time I was forecasting a category 2 or 3, I probably should have been calling for a category 4 or 5. So yeah, I did bust big time on that on the hurricane forecast. Will Charleston, West Virginia get above average snow this 2018-19 season? Yes, it will. So does Michael have the chance to be a category 4 over mainland? No, most of the time these storms weaken significantly. I do think that right here, briefly, as it heads back offshore again, it does have the potential to regain strength back to category 1 strength, possibly, which would really affect the eastern shore and southeastern Virginia area. Luckily, though, this won't go completely up the coast. Back to my forecast busting on this one. It wasn't just a me thing. Unfortunately, everybody, even the National Hurricane Center, completely underestimated this storm the whole way through. When I was calling for it to be a tropical storm, they were calling it for it to just become a category 1 before hitting land. And then when I was calling for it to be a category 2 or 3, they were calling for it to be a category 3. So I was only a step behind them the whole way. Unfortunately, this one was really unfortunate that most, if not all, as far as I'm aware, meteorologists completely underestimated this one. A lot of people didn't evacuate because they thought that it would be a category 1 or 2 up until a day before, and it was just too late because the day before yesterday, everybody thought it was going to be a tropical storm or a category 1 hurricane. Now all of a sudden you had a landfall in category 4, and that's just the stuff in the near future. Us as meteorologists need to get better at, because these are the really dangerous situations that we can't afford to get wrong. Yeah, and back Yeah, thanks everybody for the support. Regardless, I do apologize for busting though. I want to be a step ahead of everybody. I don't want to just fall back on, oh, everybody else failed too, so it's okay. No, I want to be a step ahead of everybody if everybody else is bad too. It's just one of those things. My strong suits aren't hurricanes. That's always been my weakest link as far as meteorology is tropical storms. I mean, it's everybody's weakest link because they are the hardest to predict as far as where they're going to go. Just because how I've always described hurricanes to somebody who doesn't understand them is they choose where they're going to go. The nothing else chooses for them. Hurricanes choose where to go. Yeah, the wind shear didn't show up at all. You're right, Margaret Lewis. The wind shear continued to move north and stayed well ahead of the hurricane, so the whole way through it never weakened, and it was really just unfortunate. That shear could have saved lives. And yeah, the Gulf storms tend to overperform. With how warm the Gulf was, should have known. So tropical depression is just a category below a tropical storm. There's no difference besides that. You can see that D on the bottom right of forecast positions is 39 miles per hour and below is a tropical depression. Tropical storm is 39 to 73 miles per hour. Are you in New Hampshire right now? No, I'm in Massachusetts right now. I'm on, yeah. Let's see. Thanks for streaming today. I was hoping to ask questions. That's good, man. I'm happy I was able to. Thanks for the congratulations, Creations Collide. Nature does what it is going to do. You can only read the data and go past experience. Yeah. Hold on. Let's see. So again, there's two notes, and so I wanted to talk about the hurricane. Obviously, not much of a forecast at this point. You can go based off of this track. We pretty much know what it's going to do. It's moving very fast. When they move slow is when it's dangerous because you don't know exactly where they're going to go. They can go anywhere. At this point, we know it's going to go ahead and slide out to sea and not be quite as strong. That's the good news. So a tropical storm, though, will still cause damage and will be very dangerous. Obviously, it's not a Category 4 just ripping across the whole country. So. Yeah, Mihi of you. Like I said, I think that this one could go back to hurricane status once it hits the Atlantic, just because of those above average sea surface temperatures. I'm excited this cool weather is coming to Norfolk, VA. Could we get another Category 4 landfall this year? I wouldn't be excited. This is a very bad thing. You're probably a kid. When I was a kid, I would hope for stuff like this too. But once you become older or an adult, you do realize the more serious side to these types of events. You see the damage for what it is, especially if you own a car or a house. That's when you really wake up and realize, oh shoot, this isn't just fun and games. Though likely you have to probably do chores like clean up after a storm like this. To answer your question, though, a Category 4 I think is very unlikely. I think a Category 4 is very unlikely for you. I think another Category 4 is unlikely at this point, below 50% chance of another Category 4, obviously, total for the Atlantic. So Even before this storm, there was less chance than it happening. So North Carolina is getting hit hard lately. Yeah, they've had a couple unlucky storms in a row. Nadine, let's see, which one is that? Again, I've been on vacation, so I try to pay attention. I wanted to actually create a Twitter soon because I thought that would be really good, just because I know somebody asked in a previous video as that AC unit just turned on. Hopefully you guys can hear that in the hotel. I don't really know if I can stop that. But you guys asked me if I could create a Twitter, and I said no at first, but I thought to myself, that'd be a really good idea for something like this, like when I'm on vacation, because I could just keep updating you guys on everything that's going on and not have to upload a complete video or do a whole live stream. So if I don't have the opportunity to, I could just update you guys. To answer your question, though, about, what is it, Nadine? Is that in a Pacific one? Okay. Yeah. Yeah, so it looks like this one won't do much. It does have the potential here, though. You see it's going to be weakening from this point on, most likely. Does have that potential, though, to eventually track through these areas and get lower pressure. So these areas aren't out of the water yet, but we'll have to keep an eye on that one. Pete Frisella, you should stick to forecasting winter, not hurricanes. Nobody was even close that the hurricane was going to become Category 5. Yeah, well, it's the fact that nobody was even close that makes me want to do it even more. Because if I was obviously consistently failing just personally at hurricane forecasting, I'd probably take a step back and reevaluate things. But it's not necessarily a personal failure to me. I feel like it's a failure on all parts. You know, the models failed, everything failed. So I'm going to just get back up again and try again. You know, my Florence forecast, though I didn't forecast it too much, when I did, I got it that perfectly. So, and in the past, I have nailed hurricanes before. So I'm not going to completely give up just because of this one failure, you know. It's not an exact science. It's what actually sparks my curiosity about weather is the fact that we really just don't know what's going to happen. And it's all about history and everything. This time just didn't work out, didn't all come together at all. Again, if you're new to the stream, feel free to leave any comments down below with questions as I'm going to continue to answer them. Is it possible the hurricane strengthen and come back and hit once again? Obviously, nothing's impossible, but it's not. It doesn't look to be the most likely outcome. Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and. Oh, here's our warnings down here through these areas. So you can see the areas that they expect to be worst affected. Just hurricane warnings, and then flash flood warnings for all of these areas. Well as in these areas, looks to be flash flood watches throughout these areas. Maybe coastal advisories as well. I wanted to mention that. So we look here. So we have Michael here. Leslie, is this the one that's been in the Atlantic for like what feels like a month? Yeah, I think so. Because Nadine is the one you guys are just asking. So the disturbance. Oh, okay. Yeah. So we'll have to keep an eye on this one for sure through the next 5 days. So we have quite a while to prepare and figure out what we think is going to happen here. I'd be curious, though, to see what the models are showing for this one. I definitely want to get into the second half of this video soon, though, this live stream, and start talking about winter weather more. As I've titled the first chance for snow in the Northeast, I think, is going to be coming up here very shortly, or it's within forecasting range now. So yeah, there looks to be a whole lot going on over here, a whole lot of moisture, but it looks like it's just going to go back onshore, and that's going to really hinder the chances if that's the case. But we'll have to keep a very close eye on that one. And that vorticity, just to double check. Sometimes the precipitation lies when there's a ton of it out there. But yeah, just as I suspected, here's our little disturbance, and you can see this one's just going to go straight to Mexico. Or actually, better yet, Central America. Then maybe through Mexico, but yeah. If that's the case, that'd be a blessing. It would pretty much just break up pretty quickly. GFS says this is more of a risk than anything else, but yeah, we'll have to keep an eye on that. Do you have the current sea surface temperature anomalies? Yes, I do. I can show the whole world right there. Yeah, I'm going to work on creating that Twitter soon. I'll make a video so that you guys can follow it. For snow for the Northeast. Yes, stay tuned. I'm going to get to that right after I'm done with all these comments. Will the future cooler temps shield the Southeast from another hurricane? Not necessarily shield completely, but it wouldn't encourage it as much as ridging in the East would, or wouldn't allow for it as easily. In other words. Michael M., that would be crazy for Leslie to completely redevelop again and then start trekking west again, but it's going to be so far in the future. We're just going to have to see. I don't have a Christmas forecast out yet. Yeah, I'm going to talk about the upcoming pattern change right here in a second, as we're pretty much done talking about tropics. Great stream, AWN Network. Thank you. Yeah, but blessing if it hits Mexico because it won't even have time to develop. That's totally what I meant. So if it goes across the whole Gulf again, then we could be looking at another, Category 2+ storm. We won't know. Yeah. Can I just mention that I'm very, very proud of the forecasts that I've put out, the long range forecast or medium range forecasts for I think I put them out 2 weeks ago for the cooling in the East, and everything has come together perfectly. Let me know what you guys thought about those forecasts and how accurate they were with the pattern changes and everything. Can I still see a hurricane in Norfolk, Virginia this season? Let me know, please. It's always possible. Don't think so, though. Will Massachusetts see snow? Stay tuned. Right now, I'm about to start talking about that. So the pattern, I'll go ahead and talk about the whole pattern change and how that equates to the snowfall that's possible. I'm saying possible because there's still under a 50% chance. I would say it's less likely than it is to happen, but we see our pattern change here, and it's already going to begin moving here. And by 2 days from now, 3 days from now, maybe, we're going to have this big cool down, this first really big cool down for the East. Been forecasting it for 2 weeks, like I said, finally going to happen. People got jokes, by the way, because this guy commented on one of my forecasts, my seasonal forecasts, and made sure to mention that I can't even forecast 2 weeks in advance. So why would I even try forecasting a seasonal forecast? But the joke's on him because I did forecast this exactly 2 weeks ago to happen. I must mention. But with this first cold shot, go ahead and zoom in on our northeastern quadrant here. You see we stay above average until probably the evening of the 12th, and we're going to be looking here at some sort of cold front move through on the 12th. Actually, that's associated with the hurricane as well. Here's where we get things interesting. Somebody mentioned full El Nino. Yeah, I've been noticing that as well. It's just going to depend on these regions. The cooling in here is really concerning. The good thing is my forecast kind of applies it takes the Mordecai El Nino less into account and more of the weakness of the hurricane of the El Nino. But you see 1.2 is still about 0.5, and 3.5 is still at 0.8. So we still have Mordecai by all technical standards, but we're gonna have to keep an eye because it's looking less and less like that. So here's our first chance of snow, and you can see this is directly related to a lake effect event as well as this little system of little showers, it looks like. Now, what's important to look at is all the layers of air temperature. Now, our air temperature for these areas is in the 50s. Up here, we have lower 40s, which is quite concerning. And what you look for is these upper air areas are actually below freezing, the upper layers. So what this actually means is that basically anything under 40 degrees, you're looking at snow instead of rain in these areas more times than not. At least some areas would see snow. So I guarantee you, somewhere in this green in New York and Pennsylvania, you're seeing your first snow right here if this were to play out this way. But believe it or not, that's not even your big chance at snow. Actually, your big chance is after this first trough moves through and the second one moves in. Right about here. We look again. First off, this is really concerning for an early snowstorm. An early look, this reminds me a lot of what we see in the winter. It starts out as a rainstorm pretty far east, and then it would trend west. So we'll just have to keep an eye on that. But again, the showers. So you see this as the second one moves through. We again have these showers, even some blues popping up in some areas. Maine getting some of their first snow. But again, you look at the air temperature because models go purely based off the air temperature for its precipitation type. So it's seeing, okay, it's 36, so that doesn't mean snow because we all know that the freezing temperature is 32 degrees. But actually, we look at the upper air and the different layers of the atmosphere, and we see that we have below normal temperatures as it loads here. You see how cold that is? You have temperatures in the upper atmosphere below 20 degrees. So, or actually, sorry, below -10 degrees. This is so frigid, it stays frozen through these layers. And this is super crucial when figuring out precipitation type. Now, you see these layers are above freezing. This is where we know there will be rain in these areas where all the layers are above freezing. It's where you see the upper layers have below freezing temperatures where you would see snow. So let's see as I read some questions. Yeah. Living in Lewiston, Maine, what do you think for snow? I think I just answered that. Unless you're talking about something else. Unless you're talking about like winter totals, perhaps. Thank God for cooler weather here in the Northeast. I agree. I don't remember where I heard this exactly, but I once heard hurricanes in October mean a colder winter for the East. Not sure how true that is. Usually things like that don't really hold any uh, truth to them, I wouldn't say, but we'll have to see. Could this winter in Norfolk, Virginia see much warmer than expected winter with a lot less snow than expected? Could we still get a You keep asking me if there'll be a Category 4 for Norfolk, Virginia. It's probably not going to happen, and it's clear that you're hoping for it. Also, it's unlikely that you'll have an above average temperature winter. You'll probably have below average temperatures with snowy winter. Me of you. I've seen snow in 45 degrees last winter. I was setting up my hide-in tree in fall, and it was about 45 out, and it was snowing hard but not sticking. Yeah, that's also another thing to note. It probably wouldn't stick with those temperatures so warm at the surface, but it's definitely possible. When do you think Rhode Island will see their first snow? So it's certainly not out of the question for this event, these events that I've mentioned, but uh, I'm gonna title it unlikely for this time around. Again, this is possibly our first nor'easter right here. Not likely that the cold air will be close enough to attach itself. And then we see more of a late enhanced snow shower type event twice with the White Mountains probably around the 19th in areas of Maine, possibly getting their first snow showers. What site do you use to track hurricanes and live weather? I mean, other than Tropical Tidbits. So yeah, there's a few good websites for that. This one's really good. www.spaghettymodels.com. This actually has pretty much everything you need, besides historical data, obviously. But this one and the links that this website gives you as well are great. So I would highly recommend that website. Again, that's www.spaghettymodels.com. Let's see. When are we gonna get snow in California? Not for a while. Do you think it's possible we'll see snow in November for New England? Again, I just said I think late October looks possible. So I think to say November, I would say probably likely in November that most New England states, maybe besides Connecticut and Rhode Island, and maybe Massachusetts, but a lot of those northwestern portions in Massachusetts usually get some of the earliest snows in New England. So even before some areas in Maine, probably. So. Let's see. I don't think we'll see a Category 4 hit the East Coast because sea surface temperatures may not support that much strengthening long term. Yeah, exactly. There's a lot of things that go into it. It doesn't look likely. I don't like to say never, but it probably just won't happen. Yeah, so really, right below the Green Mountains, I don't know your exact location, but right in this area would typically, I've seen most winters, they get their first snow in November, usually one of the first snows in New England, like I said, the Green Mountains, that area. So if you're connected kind of the Green Mountains and you're in that kind of mountainous area, then yeah. Again, if you're new to my channel, feel free to subscribe if you haven't already. I do weather-related live streams like this, weather videos, and also other sorts of videos. Also, feel free to leave a comment down in the description or down in the comment section below, and I'll answer all of those. So I'm about to get off. So we're going to get the final questions in here. But yeah, like I said, I'm very proud of the way my forecast came for the pattern switch. I think 15 days ago. So I'd like to get you guys' opinion on that. So again, I like you guys to kind of keep me accountable for my forecasts. Let me know how I did because I can't be in all the states, obviously. So as we get the 18Z GEFS coming out. Here's that ensemble forecast. You can see something I wanted to note was it looks like it's a pretty safe bet to say that it'll probably be cold for the rest of October in the east, with the exception of the last 4 days being kind of in that unknown range where we don't have any guidance out to that point. But I think at this point it's pretty safe to say that we will most likely have below average temperatures for the rest of October. Let's see. At Direct Weather, I really like the fact that you used analogs in your winter forecast. Do you think this winter will be comparable to 2014 to 15? If so, could we be expecting above normal snowfall? That is my favorite analog, actually. And yes, it depends where you're at. I didn't really get where you were at, but if you're in New England or Northeast, then yes, I think you could be getting above average. Though I need to make a winter thoughts episode, third update on that, because I do actually have kind of a switch up in my where the most above average snowfall will be. I know it's kind of mean to leave you guys with that kind of statement and then not really give you the answers there, but European models aren't accessible by the general public for free. Yeah, so Mihi, if you said AccuWeather is calling for 60s and 70s again right after the cools off. So most likely, here's the sad thing. I'm gonna check as well, but most likely what's happening is they like to, in their forecasts, if I'm correct, I think they do like 30-day forecasts. It's not very accurate that far out. They just do it kind of to get people on their website. But so because for forecasting a single day that far out with the exact temperatures and everything is really just nearly impossible. So I'm going to pick a pretty general location. Let's see. Let's go like Lynchburg, Virginia, for instance. Not where I'm from or anywhere that's even associated with me. I just think that this is a good location. So here's what's going on, and this is why their long-range forecast will be wrong, or not their long-range forecast, but just their forecasting for, days that are far out. While that loads, it's the internet, I think, is awful. Most likely, so it's the 10th. They probably forecast for about till the 20th. and then they really scale it back and just throw in averages and just go based off of averages. And you'll probably notice that it stays right around the same temperature, and they're kind of forecasting the same thing for every day. As far as precipitation on their daily forecasts, I don't really know how they get that kind of information, because honestly, it seems impossible. It seems like they would just be kind of just throwing something out there. But so that's kind of the answer there. Most likely, I think that they're wrong on that call. I just think that after the 20th, again, they just began to use averages, and that's about it. Kind of like what the CFS weekly forecast does. It's cold, and then they kind of just stick with the same thing. And they pull that warm into the central United States. I hate how they do that. Again, I've talked about this. It always does this. It seems like as soon as it gets pretty long range out there, well, probably 2 of the models are calling for cold in the west and 2 are calling for cold in the east. So they pull the warm and put it right in the middle. General question: what is the furthest out in days can a forecast be accurately predicted? If you're asking for like exact forecasts, like it's going to be 76 degrees, heavy rain, this is the dew point, that, which is what I would call an exact forecast. I like to think that without any major busts, I think that you can do about 6 days, probably about 5 or 6 days out. And after that, it becomes more of a guessing game and could switch. As far as comparatively to normal, like saying there will be above average temperatures or below average temperatures, and not for an exact day, but for a month or for a season, I think that you can forecast that out probably 4 or 5 months out. So it's a really big difference. Yeah. So I hope that answered the question. Thank you. I'm about to get off, guys. So for about 1 minute, if you have any last minute comments, definitely hit me up with those. Charleston, West Virginia most likely won't see any snow with this storm, though. Cat 1 for North Carolina. If you're asking if this one will be, I think Michael heads up the coast. It's possible that it goes back up to a Category 1 hurricane, but I think that the chance is under 50%. I would say probably about 40% chance. And then the other 60% is pretty much tropical storm. And most of those hurricane conditions would be felt in the Virginia side more anyway. It would probably take time to get offshore too. So no, I don't think it's going to be warm for Maryland at the end of the year. Of course not. It's going to be November and December. I've been getting drenched by heavy rains this fall. Does that indicate this winter could be active? Not really. With all the tropical activity we've had, that's really interfered with a lot. And also, we're going to start to see El Nino take over more. So I don't think that's a good or a bad sign. As far as somebody asked, I want to see what this version of the GFS said for the snow chance. Real quick, this one did show a little bit more. It usually does. Usually does show more, so. Yeah, so definitely the chance in these areas. Again, going to look at those different layers of the atmosphere. This model only happens to have one right now as it's in an experimental phase. So yeah, we see in the upper atmosphere that there is below average temperatures. Sorry, below freezing. I'm so used to saying below average. Then you see where these, basically the rule of thumb, it could happen in 45, but you need super frigid upper air. So really you're looking for those below 40s, like this 38 here. Probably going to be snow if this were to pan out. Also this 39, 39. So it really just depends what your temperatures are reading. Yeah, so I was just curious about what that would show. Anyway, guys, I'm going to go ahead and head out. Hopefully over the next 2 weeks, I'll be able to put out a few videos for you guys, or maybe another live stream or two. I'm going to have to keep an eye on that, but yeah. Anyway, guys, I'm going to make that Twitter, and then I'm going to upload a quick video of giving you guys the actual link to that. And then I will be able to give you guys a lot better just content in general. Just going to be able to give you guys quick updates and everything. So I hope you're looking forward to that. Anyway, I'll see you guys later.